Hello, in today's demonstration, I am going to be using modeling paste to embed objects in and also create textures. So first, a little bit about modeling paste. Golden calls it molding, Liquitex calls it modeling, and then it comes in light molding paste. This seems to be like a regular and then a hard molding paste. So what's with all this stuff, right? It can get really overwhelming. The light molding paste I was given at a demo. It just seems lighter. I'll try and use some today. Um, I'll just say the hard modeling paste is probably my favorite. I'm not going to use it today. I'm going to use this Liquitex, just sort of middle of the road. I like this because once it dries, it's pretty hard and you can actually um, cut it or carve it with a linoleum carving tool, which is pretty cool. So I'll do a video on that at some point. This middle of the road, it's probably maybe a little bit more flexible, um, but maybe I can build a bigger surface structure. So I'm going to primarily use this today, but I'm going to try this and see what the difference is. Okay, so I did a a sample test ahead of time to kind of work out um, some of the things with modeling paste. And I'll repeat this again, but I started with, you could use a canvas board. I just used a piece of cardboard. And then I gathered textural items. I've got burlap, part of a placemat, some netting, a sandwich clip, and then some flat collage material. And I glued everything down. I'll demo this. So I'm going to use my modeling paste as a glue. And then I built up a textural surface with the materials and the paste that I will demonstrate. This, then I'll do, this is what I'm going to focus on today. This is part one. And then this will dry. And next week I'll do part two, which is basically I'm going to apply stains to this and paint and dry brushing and maybe more collage material. Anyway, I thought it would be helpful to focus on creating a face. So I'm going to get started. And the face just gives me like a composition, something so that then I can just focus on playing with these textures. So um, I just grabbed a bunch of stuff. I had this pasta box. I had a roll of burlap. I like this little window in the pasta box. I thought, okay, that and this tab and these, sandwich ties, some netting. I'm going to use this to make some sort of a portrait. So I think it's helpful to also maybe take a snap with your camera because now I have to dismantle all of this and then put it back together. And as I put it back together, it's probably going to change, which is fine. So I'm going to start with my modeling paste and my angled palette knife. Initially, I'm going to just use the modeling paste like a glue and get this burlap tacked down. I don't even have to do the whole surface because I'm going to be layering a lot more modeling paste on here and it'll start soaking through. So I just want to get this tacked down. And then I also find it helpful to take it could be a sheet of paper. In this case, I'm using deli paper. And as I go along, I'm going to scrape so that that burlap is anchored to my board. Okay, then I would go with my next piece. So I'm actually probably working from larger to smaller. Okay, so same thing. I'm using it as a glue here. Just getting these elements tacked down. If I need a little bit more on some of the corners, I can just add more. Okay, I'll put this netting down. I'm thinking maybe this is the collar for whoever this character is. Okay, now this is going to be a little different because that modeling paste is going to kind of glob through. Okay, now I'm going to glue these down, but I'm going to shift gears momentarily. I'm going to deliberately create a surface texture on this piece of cardboard. And I'm thinking surface texture for this face. So first I just want to get the modeling paste on there. I'm already getting a surface texture, but I'm going to see how I can manipulate and change that a bit. And as you go, it will dry up a bit, which is good because I'm going to try and do some stamping into it. If I don't want it that thick, I'm going to bring some of it into this netted area just to anchor it a bit more. Okay, so I've got my palette knife. I'm going to just show some different ideas of things that I could do. So I'm using a smaller palette knife. I could do repeat patterning on there. That might look really great for, let's say, hair or fur. So I think I'm going to leave the top part as hair. And then if I don't like something, it's still wet enough, I can scrape over and I can just keep manipulating this, which I really like. Can keep playing with that surface texture. I'm going kind of flat back and forth right now, almost like a stucco wall. Okay, I'm going to put a little glob there for this sandwich clip. That is going to be one of the eyeballs. Use this cardboard tab for the nose. So now I'm using it as a glue again. Then I can come back and manipulate that surface a little bit more. Here's my pasta tube for the mouth. Okay, now I think it's drying up enough that I have all these little plastic things I've saved. That's from a tape dispenser. This is some, I don't know what this is, some sort of spool thing with interesting marks. So yeah, it feels tacky enough that I can turn this thing in there and get a really interesting circle shape. Then I'm going to take this thing. And so now I've got an eyeball right there. So that's another, if it's not too goopy, not too thick, I can do some stamping in there. Okay, now I can come back and embed some more collage material if I want. That looks kind of like hair, so I'm going to stick that on there. These are just like little leftover bits that I have. Maybe that's a hat. So you're going to have to forage for little bits and pieces of textural items that you can find around the house. Let's see what I got. Collage material. Okay, here we got a little, I'll put this over here. That's some corrugated cardboard. Okay, I'm going to fiddle with the background a little bit more. I'm going to show you what the burlap does, and I don't expect you to have this, but the fabric kind of absorbs this modeling paste, and then I'm going to layer some more burlap on there, and I'm going to incise some lines. And I think because it's a fabric, yeah, it's absorbing the modeling paste, which I'm going to use to my advantage. So let's say I want to come in, I'm going to stick, I want a little more dimension, so I'm going to stick another piece of burlap on there. So I'm thinking ahead to when next week when I'm going to paint, some of these little raised bits of burlap are going to show up as, I think it's going to be pretty interesting. So embedding more dimensional materials. That's part, this right here is part of a placemat. Okay, and then as this dries, I could put bigger globs on if I want. If I don't like it, I just scrape it off. And then I can draw, like here, I can draw some lines on top. Let me do it with this. This will show it better. Okay, so here's that circle again. It's going to have a different look, I think, on the burlap than over here on just the straight modeling paste, which I quite like. So that one I just kind of discovered, and I would like to play with it more. I think what I'm going to do for now is I think you get the basic idea. As you're nearing the end, I mean, if you have loose, you can just, this is tacked down enough that then I can paint on it next week. But if you want to change that surface quality a little bit, and have more modeling paste in there, you can fill in a little bit more. This will paint differently, this burlap, than the one over here. It's going to have a different, well, I'm going to see that color. So I'll leave some bare, and I'll leave some coated with the modeling paste, and then I'll paint on that next week. Okay, so that is it for embedding and creating texture with modeling paste.